Hey guys, you just top decked Risebell for the best hand ever. I'm here to show you my Prophecy deck profile. I usually don't like meta stuff, but I've been playing this thing since Redo, and it's so much fun to play as, so long as Judgment is out of the picture. Anyway, on to the deck profile. First off, I have the typical boss monsters, Priestess and World. If you've dueled Prophecy before, you know exactly what they are for. Then I got my Search with a Body, and my very helpful instant boss monsters. Some people don't seem to realize sometimes that this is also a spellbook card. So things like Master, you can reveal this guy. Secret, you can search this guy. He's just really, really nice to have. Mandatory at 3. Then I have Stoic. He's kind of new, but he's been really, really nice every time I see him. And I'm actually gonna show you why later on in the deck profile. Next up, I have 2 Effect Veilers, because people tend to forget that they kind of want their main phase to work. And Faith. Your entire graveyard is searchable. Just period. Add it to your hand. Next up is the Spellbook lineup. I have 3 Secrets, because search basically everything in your deck. I run 2 Master, because at 3, you don't want to draw too many of these in the beginning of the game. You need something that an effect that you can copy. I run Power at 2, because it's really, really fun to spam that and run over your opponent's monsters. And I run Wisdom at 2. I kind of want to bump it back up to 3, but it's already a 42 card deck, so that's not going to happen. Okay, I have 2 Eternity. You don't want to draw it early on, just plain and simple. It helps in the late game, and because of that it's necessary, but you really don't like it early game. Let's clear that up, and I run 2 Spellbook Library of the Crescents. People have been riding this thing's dick ever since Judgment came out, because it's another name for them to play. But I really, really don't like it. I almost always have a spellbook in the grave, even with all of the banishing and all of the recycling with Tower, which I run 1 of, by the way. It's a dead draw any time past maybe turn 3. Anyway, again, I run Tower because it's the best field spell ever. I run Star Hall because basically all of my monsters are tiny and easily searchable with this thing. Actually, not basically. All of my monsters are easily searchable with this thing. And then I run Spellbook of Monster Reborn and do your taxes for you. Seriously, Fate needed to go to 1. It's just way too good. It does everything you want it to. Alright, now for the non-spellbooks, I run Book of Moon, Dark Hole, and 1 Day of Peace. 1 Day of Peace, I don't see like any spellbook players running. Their draw doesn't mean a whole lot when you're double drawing with Tower, and it saves you from damage. Wisdom means you get to keep whatever you have on the field for Dark Hole, and if you normal summon this guy, you can chain Book of Moon to still get the search, and later on you can flip him later for another search. Or if they attack into his tiny 500 face, you can chain this to the attack, and you will get another search from that too. Overall, it's just too good in this deck. I really wish it was a spellbook, but at the same time, holy crap, that would be broken. I run 2 Magical Mallets because you really don't like these guys in your hand. I have really bad luck, and I get them all the time, particularly with Temperance. Temperance and World in the same hand, I hate seeing it. Mallet helps that a lot. Okay, I am running 2 Phoenix Wing Windblast and 2 Raigeki Break. I've seen people choose one or the other and run them at 3, but I want to run I want to run both of them because sometimes you need one over the other, and because now I can run 4 targets to toss this thing out of my hand and get an instant search for this guy. Combos all over the place. Alright, then I run 2 Magic Cylinder, 1 Mirror Force, and 1 Compulse. People always seem to have an out for Mirror Force, so running it at 2 just hasn't been working out too well for me, but it's still really, really nice to have. Compulse is probably the best trap in the game at this point in time, and nobody expects these things. I have won games because they will buff up their monster to ridiculous strengths, and I'll flip this thing on them, and then they will cry. My favorite story so far is I flip Magic Cylinder on someone's Excalibur for game at 4,000 points of damage to their face. Alright, now for my extra deck. I basically never go into my extra deck, but every time I do, it turns the whole game around. Veiler means I have access to Synchros, and Ixies are Ixies monsters. The ones I go into most are Herald and Shining Elf. Herald is another really good way to get my boss monsters out of my hand, and actually the one thing that isn't recyclable in this deck is monsters, so this makes them recyclable. Shining Elf for basically any other time I don't want a tiny 500 beater on the field. And with Starhall, he is ridiculous as a beater. I have 1 rank 3, Fortune Tune. I still kind of want to try and throw back in Zen mains, because monster popping is still fairly useful. But for now, I just got him. My brand new Downward Magician that I haven't been able to test yet, but I really, 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 really want to see how it goes. So, she's gorgeous. Enough said. Anyway, for my rank 7s, I have Master of Blades and Hierophant of Prophecy. After Heavy Storm got banned, this is your new Heavy Storm. It will destroy the entire back row, depending on how many spellbooks you have. And he's just good to go into every once in a while. Okay, now onto the Synchros. I have 3 level 5s. Catastor doesn't do a whole lot of work anymore. I normally go into TG Hyper Librarian because he's a spellcaster. And if you don't know about Armades, learn about him. He's really good. I have 2 level 6s, Psyhemoth, and Tempest Magician. Really, Tempest Magician is only for stall. When you can't attack, you can just keep tossing spell cards or building up the spellbook Starhall, and then wipe out all the counters to deal damage. Also, Psyhemoth is non-targeting, non-destruction monster removal. Just, that is always really good. For my level 7s, I have 3. I have Arcanite Magician, Black Rose Dragon, and Ancient Fairy Dragon. Maybe I should have taken out Ancient Fairy Dragon. I put Ancient Fairy Dragon in here solely because of Dark World. At 3,000 in defense, their Grapha, their strongest monster, can't get over it, and it destroys their field spell. Black Rose speaks for itself, and I don't really go into Arcanite Magician at all, but there have been some times where I really, really, really wish I could have. I just needed a life in my hand. Spellbook of Life, that is. Last but not least, I have Scrap Dragon. My monsters are tiny, and my spellbooks are still live in the grave, so anything I pop doesn't really matter a whole lot. Anything that I pop on their side of the field, they tend to cry a little bit. Anyway, that was my spellbooks. I love them to death, and I've been playing them since the beginning. But rate, comment, and subscribe. Try spellbooks for yourself, and don't do the whole, this is meta, so run it because it's meta bullcrap. Just play how you want. Anyway, have fun, guys.